Thank you for joining us for this 3 News Original. I'm Bill Churchwell. It is a new reality check for many folks who are already struggling to make ends meet. If you've taken a trip to the grocery store, then you know there is a tighter squeeze on your wallet these days due to the rising cost of living. A report from payments.com shows about half of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck, with millennials most likely feeling the financial crunch. We begin by diving into the struggles many folks are now facing as they walk that thin line of poverty and the state of homelessness in the city. Miles McElhaney has come a long way since a family tragedy sent him into a downward spiral.
I experienced a death in my family. When I came here, my grandma had died. And then less than a month later, my grandfather gets charged for murder.
The veteran and father of 2 struggled with PTSD and with substance abuse.
My vice was methamphetamines. Yep.
He knows what it's like to hit rock bottom.
I was on the island, and the night before I sat there sleeping in a urinal because I had nowhere to go.
The next day, he found Mission 911.
The process was immense, emotionally, physically, mentally.
It would also be a turning point, leaning on his faith and his family.
My mom, really instrumental in my progress.
I thought if I could just help one person.
23 years after he founded the nonprofit, Tony Reyes has offered hope for thousands of people who have walked through his door.
Even if you're a person like Miles that had maybe struggled in life and you need a rebound, we're there for you.
What started as a shelter for men is now making the transition to focus on case management. This, as Tony says, more and more people find themselves making tough financial decisions to keep their heads above water.
If you're in middle class and you're in poverty, that is a whole different level. Yes, it's tough. Everybody lives in that moment of, oh my gosh, am I going to lose my car? Am I going to lose my house? Am I going to lose my family? Well, you're going to have to make some decisions, right? What is your future story? It's
that focus on solutions, he says, will empower you, which is why the former transitional housing complex will find itself evolving too.
You're going to have a little reception area here.
Recently, Mission 911 announcing it will be moving to a brand new location at Old Romstown Road and Leopard Street. Instead of a shelter, it will offer a one-stop shop for clothing and resources to help pay bills and meet with case managers.
Come on in.
Miles has called the nonprofit home for 7 months.
Where I'm at right now is where I dreamed I was going to be.
Right now, he has a roof over his head and holds down 2 jobs. He's like many Coastal Bend residents who work and are still finding it hard to make ends meet.
I have a studio apartment that I live in. Nowhere else right now is feasible for that. Yes, I have to move out. Yes, I have to look towards that next step, but they're right there with me, looking at that target through the crosshairs going, let's get that goal.
He wants people to know it's okay to ask for help, even if you are embarrassed, just like Mission 911 is helping him.
Voice it. Closed mouths don't get fed. If you have an issue or you have a problem, somebody needs to know.
For more information about the services Mission 911 offers, you can call 361-882-0911. And while we're here, we also are getting a better snapshot of the area's needs as a whole. This year's Point in Time survey is back. The count happening in January of this year and shows 627 people in Corpus Christi who are experiencing homelessness. 301 of them were considered unsheltered, 63 of them veterans. There is a saying that your family will always be there for you through thick or thin, whether that is health related or even financial. The rising cost of living is something that has many families reconsidering their own living arrangements, opening their homes to loved ones in an effort to save money.
Never wear it, but my mom gave it to me, and it's my dad's.
For Melissa Yendork, family is everything.
I moved back from Houston back in 2005 after a divorce, and I ended up staying with my mom. And I was with her for 5 years, and until I got back on my feet, I had 2 boys, 2 young kids.
Her sons, now young men, 29-year-old James here to the left, and that's 24-year-old Ernest Jr. on the right.
My 24-year-old has Asperger's. He's on the spectrum, but he's so smart.
She enjoys how close they've become, the 3 even sharing an apartment.
We have created this unity of just us living together, and of course the older one works and he helps pay bills. But I wouldn't be able to make it without him.
Yendork says despite raises at her job, it's not enough.
And just recently, I didn't qualify for insurance anymore through the clinic card because I made $30 too much.
According to a 2021 Pew Research Center survey, there are more families just like Yendork's who are choosing to live together. In fact, that trend of multi-generational living shows no signs of slowing down.
You have to remember we're in the coastal bend, La Familia.
Christopher Monroe is in the short-term rental business and has a background in finance.
2 units in the main building.
He says multi-generational living can be a smart option, no matter your situation.
As rates and prices continue to rise, I think you're going to see more and more families start moving back in with each other.
If you are considering this option to move in with family, have a candid conversation.
Do you want separate living areas? Do you want defined living areas? Is everything just sort of communal?
He says it's also important to go over house rules.
Are you going to have pets? Are you messy?
My situation,
Yendork is doing whatever she can to take a more proactive approach with budgeting reoccurring expenses and being prepared for the unexpected ones.
making choices like not going out to eat, cooking at home, getting more bang for your buck.
Routine doctor checkups are vital for a child's development and to help diagnose any sort of life-changing illness those little ones could experience. But for some families, those doctor's visits aren't happening as frequently as they should. The reason? Parents are said to be facing tough financial decisions that have them choosing between whether to see a doctor or pay bills. Like any worried parent, local mom Marley is getting her 8-month-old son checked out to see what's causing a troublesome rash.
Me gusta porque aparte que pues es económico, un buen doctor y pues mi niño hasta ahorita muy sano, gracias a Dios.
She calls Amistad Health cost-effective in today's times and understands why some parents might have to choose between taking their kids to the doctor or not.
Y te ayudan mucho cuando pues no puedes, te ayudan para poder pagar también.
Her baby, one of over 11,000 patients doctors are expected to see this year at the not-for-profit facility. Tucked away here, just off 6 Points, Amistad Health offers a one-stop shop for a family's healthcare needs.
Some people will come in when they're sick and not for the regular checkups. A lot of patients.
According to CEO and pediatrician Eric Baggerman, missing those visits can not only lead to a delayed diagnosis, but can also end up costing more in the long run if left untreated.
There's still lots of viruses out there, lots of mental health issues too. And that's some of the biggest things we see, and it's all ages.
A growing need that is being met with more providers.
It's the busiest we've ever been.
He says those regular health screenings are extremely important, especially for his youngest of patients.
A lot of the things that we do in checkups is looking for things that you can't see, right? Sometimes it's through blood work, and sometimes it's through a thorough physical exam that you find these things that you just don't know that are there.
Baggerman says no one is immune to the financial toll inflation has caused.
We've seen the stress in the families that come here to our clinic. We've seen the stress in the staff.
Their goal is to provide quality health care whether you can afford it or not.
We meet them at where they're at.
He says the clinic has a number of ways they can assist families like Marley's who might be feeling that tight squeeze, even when it comes to affording medications.
And then also when it comes to kids, just help them grow.
There are a variety of options for families who are needing health care but are unsure what is available to them. We also checked in with Driscoll Children's Hospital, which has the Driscoll Health Plan. Victoria Morales with Outreach and Enrollment at Driscoll Health Plan works with patients on how to apply for programs like Medicaid and CHIP. So what's the difference? Medicaid is a free health care program for qualifying children in low-income families. CHIP is a program for kids without health insurance whose families earn too much to get Medicaid but still cannot afford health insurance.
So if they qualify for Medicaid, for instance, there will be no charge. So they could go and see provider visits as much as they need to. They could also work with specialists. It depends on what is needed for their family, but there is no cost to that program. If they do qualify for CHIP, there might be a slight cost.
To get Medicaid or CHIP, a child must be 18 years old and younger. Turning now to the topic of retirement, with the rising cost of living, among those hit hard include folks who are now questioning if they are as prepared for the next chapter in their life. Inflation has forced some people to dip into their savings or stop putting money away altogether. At 63 years old, Jimmy Hayes has no plans on slowing down. He's eligible for retirement, but has no retirement money.
I have saved a little, but it's not going to be enough to sustain me long term.
He currently holds down a job as a dishwasher. He says it won't be enough to keep up with rising costs.
I'm a man of color, and I'm also a man of age, and I also have a criminal history. So all of those things hinder me from getting a productive job.
His focus is on surviving in the now because he knows all too well what it's like not having a roof over your head.
It's very fearful.
Hayes currently lives in an apartment paying $200 a month through a transitional housing program, but he'll have to find a new place soon.
I've checked into apartments, and the lowest I've found is like $800. But that doesn't include utilities. I can't make it.
As many others consider working past 65, a survey by U.S. News and World Report found out of 2,000 people interviewed, about a third of them tapped into their retirement to stay afloat last year, despite facing the penalties. Over at the Salvation Army, case managers are doing their part to help folks in Hayes' situation find the resources they need to make it.
We try to get people to where they're going within about 3 months.
They too have noticed a troublesome rise in the age of people they assist as more elderly residents end up at their shelter.
I feel like there could be a couple different reasons for that, but I think a lot of it goes back to just the difficulty of securing a job for them with a livable wage.
As Hayes looks down the road, he is faced with choosing between his independence and a home.
If I just take the car out of the equation, I could probably live in an apartment. But then the transportation is so lucrative.
His driving factor, working as long as he can, trying to rewrite the pages of his own life.
These are the consequences for the things I did in my past. You know, I want to live on my own and be a good citizen and, you know, put my past behind.
The city of Corpus Christi has a variety of senior services to assist, whether that's Meals on Wheels or their Senior Companion program. For more information, call 361-826-3150. Over the last 3 years, the city of Corpus Christi has invested through federal and state funding $23 million that trickles down to various organizations like the Salvation Army that can help those facing financial challenges. Jennifer Buxton is the Assistant Director for Neighborhood Services. She says the city has already put out about $16 million in tenant and rental assistance alone, helping 3,000 people stay in their units following the COVID pandemic, including elderly residents.
No shame in needing assistance, but where to go to get that. What I always tell people is the first place you should try is you call 211 or you go to 211texas.org. They compile all of the services that are out in the community, and you can ask them, where do I go for job help, healthcare help, legal advice, housing, food, any of those things.
She says homeless prevention is much easier to address than when someone has lost their home. She says many families just need that one-time boost. It is one of the most basic needs, food. But 72-year-old Alice Bridie says the pressure on her wallet has forced her and her husband to reassess their eating habits to keep their bank account from reaching zero.
You might not have everything you wanted, but you had everything you needed.
For Alice Bridie and her husband Greg, the end of the month is a reminder that they just aren't making it.
All of our bills are paid, and that's when the problem starts.
What's left isn't much. At 72 years old, Alice is unable to go back to work because of her health. Living off Social Security, retirement was supposed to be easier.
At one point, we did have a pretty good savings.
These days, it's tough. Even a trip to the grocery store is proving to be a challenge.
I never get out of there really under $100. And that's, you know, when you don't make all that much, that $100 hurts.
Now making cuts on some of the most basic needs.
We don't even eat lunch anymore. We eat breakfast and then dinner. And it's pretty much the same thing. Eggs in the morning and a piece of toast.
No, it touches my heart because that's what we're here for.
Bea Hansen is the executive director of the Coastal Bend Food Bank. She says there is no reason for folks like Alice and Greg to suffer in silence.
Are people shy to ask for assistance?
If it hadn't been that we called her to ask her if she would be willing for an interview, we wouldn't have known that they were completely out of food.
As we visited with Alice, along came a special delivery from the food bank.
We've got oats.
It's enough food to last the entire month.
I don't know what we'd do without, you know, the food bank.
The nonprofit providing more than 10 million pounds of food to South Texas and serves almost 100,000 people a year who need help putting food on the table.
If you're hungry, we're here.
The food bank doing what they can. But think about this during your next trip to the grocery store. Let's start with some bananas. A little time and planning will go a long way to help you save. Compare prices, look for those sales, coupons, and markdowns. When considering breakfast, search for oats right here. It's a healthy option, it's filling, you can add some brown sugar for flavor. For lunch and dinner, Hansen recommends seeking out those basic yet healthy options. Think eggs, grabbing some milk, bread, and cheese. Pasta, maybe some peanut butter. Grab some beans and some rice. Let's make some tacos. Here in the meat department, look for those lower cost cuts. And if you're looking for a protein substitute, well, we have some of those here in our cart. Everything from beans to chickpeas, the tuna, the eggs.
Raviolis are good.
For Alice, she never thought she would be in this situation.
Now it's really getting to be a struggle.
Hoping it will get better.
You just do the best you can with what you have.
Thankful for the assistance from folks at the Coastal Bend Food Bank.
There's some very good stuff in here.
To reach the Coastal Bend Food Bank, call this number. It's 361-887-6291. There are many more stories just like the ones in this report, and there are also a number of resources available. You can find that information along with each of these stories on our website, KIITV.com. Thank you once again for joining us for this 3 News original called Paycheck to Paycheck. I'm Bill Churchwell.